Welcome back. Take a look at our schedule for Championship Saturday. We begin momentarily with the 4x1. And it'll be a full day of all finals for you here from Norfolk State University 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship. Glad to have you with us alongside Steve Foster. I'm Kip McConico. Already turning our sights, a false start there on our first event here, just section 1 of 1, as we mentioned, all finals. The women's 4x1. Quickly, we'll get you the lane assignments. Maryland Eastern Shore in 1, North Carolina Central in 2, South Carolina State in 3, Norfolk State in 4, Bison Howard in 5, Coppin State in 6, Oregon State in 7, and Hornets of Delaware State round out the field in lane number 8.
Howard's women raised their hand to start, and I think was allowed and granted a restart there. And so hopefully it was not a false start. It was just, you get that opportunity one time, kid, one time only.
Bison in lane 5, the best seed time, 43.81. This is really where they look to shine. Delaware State in lane 8. David Oliver's side looking for the 4th consecutive MEAC Women's Outdoor Track and Field Championship. Off we go, no issues here. Again, keep an eye on Howard in 5. It's 4x100 meter final. Through the exchange. Howard in 5, Oregon State in 4. Coppin State there in 6 as well. Howard and Coppin State right now leading the way coming into our final exchange. It's going to be Howard first, Coppin State second, Norfolk State in 3rd, and here comes the Bison pulling away. And Howard will finish and take your women's 4x1. The Coppin State finishing 2nd. Norfolk State in 3rd. Howard, a time of 44.45 for the Bison.
Kid, I tell you, the handoffs and exchanges for the women's teams, they just seem to be so much smoother. So much difficulty when you see, yes, all the speed of the men, and there's no slow team for the women, but their exchanges seem to be so much better in a sprint relay.
Did not have any mistakes. Here are your final times, and you see confirmation there, 44.45 for the Bison. Coppin State 45 flat. Norfolk State 45.60. South Carolina State, Morgan State, Delaware State in 4, 5, and 6. North Carolina Central rounding out the field are the Eagles. Well, a good start for the Bison here on Championship Saturday as they accrue some points looking for that team title. Again, they came in trailing Norfolk State on the women's side. And now turn our sights to our second event of the day. It'll be the men's 4x1. Lane assignments for that. But first, we'll step aside. When we return, live coverage to the 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship continues. Our sights to our men's 4x1. Moving quickly here, Championship Saturday. 2 lane assignments. Be Delaware State in 1, Howard in 2, NC Central in 3, Eastern Shore in 4, Coppin State in 5, Norfolk State in 6, Oregon in 7, and South Carolina State rounds out the field in lane number 8. Coppin State best seed time for the Eagles, 39.82. They are right there in lane 5, Foss. Certainly, they are going to be looking to make a big impact. This is where they are at their best. We talk about these teams. Obviously, for Norfolk State on the men's side, they have great distance runners. But you look at Howard, Coppin State, they have some speed, and they're going to show it off.
Absolutely. Early and often here on this day 3, final day of the MEAC 2025 Outdoor Championships, and you're correct. You're sub 40 here. You know, you're making a statement. That means you are having clean exchanges for each leg of this sprint relay, and it's tough. I've been there, man. I've dropped them, and I've also handed them off. It goes quick. Technique is really what you have to practice more so than speed. You know people are fast, you know, and you see it across sports. You can have fast guys that play other sports, particular football. You have a receiver, but if they can't catch, it doesn't matter. Here on the track, you have to have those good exchanges. Transfer of the baton makes all the difference.
Right about that. It doesn't matter how fast you are. If you can't get clean exchanges, it's all for naught.
Yeah, don't want the stick on the ground.
Again, our men's 4x1, all finals today, so just one section here. We'll turn our sights to our women and men's 1500. That coming up next. A full day of action. Glad to have you with us, wherever you may be joining us from on ESPN Plus. Very warm welcome to you. Glad to have your company. Beautiful weather here in the Commonwealth, and you never know what it's going to be like this time of year, Foss, but so far it is right now just very 84 degrees and a bit of humidity, 52%, but for these sprinters, they will certainly take that. Distance runners like it a little cooler. Sprinters want some heat.
Yeah, those legs get that quick turnover with those hamstrings and everything going and working well. Doesn't take long, but it's got to be precise.
Does indeed. Ready to get underway. Men's 4x1 final. Much as was the case in the women's race.
Howard Lane 2, Central Lane 3,
We're there in 4. So you'd imagine a lot of nerves, a lot of adrenaline pumping through the veins right now of these athletes. They know what's at stake.
If you had a choice, kid, would you like to be start, middle, or finish?
Oh, you always want to be the anchor leg. That means you're the fastest. You always want to be. And I say this as someone who was not blessed with a lot of speed. Being fast is one of those things that most of us, you're fast, you can understand this, but those of us that were not, can only dream of.
I ran the third leg, the turn. And to me, it was like a big offensive running play. And I was just carrying a baton and not a football.
Well, as I recall, you were pretty good at both, whether the baton or the football. Had some success in both the fall and spring pursuits. Underway, men's 4x1. Coppin State in 5. Best seed time, only time, sub 40 seconds for the Eagles. And here comes Coppin State on cue. See them there in the navy singlet and shorts, looking for the second exchange. Here come the Eagles. Rounding that curve, looking for the final exchange. Coppin State leading the way. There is the handoff. Coppin State, Eastern Shore. 1, 2, 3. Coppin State pulling away with the anchor leg. And they will take it. Coppin State winning the men's 4x1, 39-8-4 yet again, going to sub 40. Eastern Shore finishing 42-0. Howard at 45-2 for the Bison.
That was a great race, and you could just see in that second leg, Coppin State got out. I think they had that start, and you know, you can come around, and this is the anchor leg kit. Just when you have that type of smooth exchange, it's going to take a lot to catch up, because you're already getting the magic of not being the starter is you get at least 2 or 3 steps to get your speed up. That always made the difference. The reason why 40 times are what they are is because if you can't get out the blocks, then the difference between a 4-4 and a 4-5 or 6 is that. But when you're already moving and you can get up to top speed, it's a whole different ball game of how you select. So it's very important to have a great start, but then you can really fly when you're on the move, as long as you have a good exchange.
You're right about that one. And so again, in Coppin State, Maryland Eastern Shore, Howard 1, 2, and 3 in the men's 4x1. No handoff issues speed they have made it look easy. It is anything but, as we well know in the relay. Good teams, you look at them, you just...
Not easy.
It's not at all. There is your confirmation on the times.
Coppin State, though, was what they came in as the best time going into that final. That race, it was leaning and lent itself to them, and they came through. They just were very consistent throughout this track and field championship.
You're right about that, and obviously you talk about the points for the team. First place getting 10, second with 8, third with 6. Those are very important points for that team title as you look ahead, trying to get atop the podium. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and so forth as you go down in the finishing. But for a team like Howard, they want not only a chance for that women's title, they want a chance to compete for the men's as well.
Absolutely.
These are important. I mean, you could think it could be the difference between a second and third place finish that determines the champion.
Well, you want to garner as many points as you can throughout every event. And whether it's first, second, or third, yes, of course, the members of that particular event want to have not just hardware, but the best of the hardware. With that said, we're also talking a team championship, so you have to contribute in that regard. Know that you're accumulating points throughout this last day.
Moving quickly as we turn our sights to our women's 1,500 meters and underway. Women's 1,500 meter best seed time from Camille Egbulla, the senior from Howard, with the 2 on her hip, leading the way. Easy to pick out there. As a seed time of 4 minutes 28.75. That is the best mark in the field thus far. Certainly the one to keep an eye on. The prohibitive favorite is the senior from South Carolina. Her teammate Jasmine Crosby, the senior with the 6, a 4:35.14. Those are the best 2 seed times of any in the field.
Kid, I'm doing some math. That is over 10 to 15 seconds better than the next competitors, and that's just impressive.
Egbulla leading the way, the senior from the Palmetto State. You see behind her Monty Thompson, the junior from Norfolk State, currently sitting in second with a 3 on her hip. You see from Egbulla, she wants to go out, wants to set the pace early. And obviously, we talked about the different approaches to these distance races. Some want to go out quickly. They want to set the pace. Others want to sit back and hang and kind of hope they have enough left for that kick. But it's a chess match to decide what you want to do and what works best to your strengths as a runner.
Well, if you know you can get around the track 4 times at a certain speed, then you can go out close to those lap speeds and say, okay, I can keep this. And of course, in a final, you're going to be able to push yourself to get on that podium, whether it's first, second, or third. So if you just run what your regular body will tell you, which is 12 to 15 seconds or more faster than your next competitor, race day, that last 400 meters, you're gonna be flying, because when you hit that last 200 of the 400, you've got a whole bunch that your competitors don't. So it may look like, wow, going out too fast. Not if that's the normal pace of this competitor.
And Egbulla leading the way here on the track, women's 1,500, and really starting to distance herself from the rest of the field. As we take a look over at the podium, our men's 4x1 finishers. Coppin State, your winner, 39.84 for the Eagles as they stand atop the podium. Over to the left, Eastern Shore finishing second, the Hawks, and then the Bison of Howard on your right, finishing third, a time of 45.2. Congratulations to all 12 of our competitors there. The men's 4x1, and there are your champions. The Eagles from Coppin State came in as the prohibitive favorite in the event, and did not falter as we turn our sights back to our women's 1,500-meter final. Bula, who's led from the very beginning, continues to distance herself from the rest of the field.
Again, Kit, this is the final. And you saw the times coming in. And in the final, you know you're trying to get on that podium. And you've got a team championship you're trying to chase down as well as medal individually. And you just, the adrenaline is higher than normal. And especially if you've trained at a certain level and pace, you can always increase it for the final during the championship.
Bosch, you brought up a great point there. Obviously, the individual, you want to win your individual events, but you want those points as well, helping your team hoping to secure not just your event, but the team title as well. And that is exactly what Emil Egbula, the senior from Howard, looks to do here in her final MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship. Turning it on the final few meters until the finish line. And she will take it. Came in with the best seed time. And finishes 4:28.56. Is the Howard senior. That is going to be a PR for her, setting that previously was 4:28.75. Best that by 0.2 of a second. May Wyatt there of Norfolk State finishing second. Marcelin Camayo in third. Her teammate, Jocelyn Crosby from Howard, in fourth.
And again, Kit, the most impressive thing was she didn't look tired after running effectively a mile in 4.5 minutes.
She made it look easy. The good ones do that, but big team points there. Second and third finishes for Norfolk State. It's not just about winning. Obviously, you want to win. You want to be atop the podium. That goes without saying.
Yes.
But those points, they all accrue. There's some big ones for the Spartans. As we step aside, when we return, we turn our sights to the men's 1,500 as live coverage. Doing well in the men's 1,500 meters underway. The best seed time, Victor Jumo, the senior from Norfolk State, the 13 on his hip. The 3:51.11, his teammate Gideon Segui, a senior, a 7 on his hip, not too far behind, 3:51.68. A lot of talent, a lot of familiar faces into this race.
Marianne Drazon from Delaware State, always in that powder blue and red at the front of the pack as well. This is going to be a fun, I think, final lap in 200 to 400 meters.
I'm with you there. Drazon, Delaware State. Hornet, he won gold in the men's steeplechase yesterday, a time of 9:16.61. This is obviously a different race. No hurdles, no obstacles, but
no water.
Makes a difference. Right now, Drazon leading, co-leader, if you will. Very tight early on in the men's 1,500. Not a lot of separation thus far.
So, Kit, I think this race would be more strategic because you have competitors, like you mentioned, all around 2 and 3 seconds difference. So when does someone decide to leave the pack? When does somebody decide to run, away? When does someone decide to change the pace to see if that strategy can leave somebody out of gas at the end? You can mug them at the tape, as we used to say. As long as you lean across first and your chest gets there before your opponents and your competitors, you win. So I think this is going to set up very well.
Jumo leading the way is the senior, the 13. Drazon right there as well, as is Emmanuel Patafote. Patafote, the junior from North Carolina Central. And you said it there, all right in that 3:52, 3:54, 3:55 range. So very tight early on as we anticipated. See some times here through the first 300 meters.
Splits look much faster than I would prefer to travel, Kit. They could do that in their sleep, 40s. And I think, again, this is going to be a great race. You see separation now towards the front. You see a little bit of go-go out to the front with one of the competitors going to say, listen, I'm going to make some of my folks chase meet that.
That's Caleb Mincy of Morgan State, who's now taken over first place from Jumo. Mincy, a seed time of 3:55.60, so he very much is in that mix. You see Mincy, Jumo, Razan all in that same vicinity, and those three right now leading the way as we come to the bell lap. Here we go. Jumo having retaken the lead. Mincy in second.
Who's coming up, though?
Razan there, and Gideon Segui coming from the outside. Familiar faces. Patafode has dropped back, has the Eagle of NC Central. That top four right now battling who has the most left in the tank for this final push.
And that is what I wanted to see. Because right now it's about 200, 300 meters left. Who has the kick?
Razan dropping off a bit, and it is there the pair of Spartans. And Mincy's dropped back into fourth, and here come Norfolk State Jumo alongside his teammate Segui, 1 and 2. Oh, on the outside, Mincy making a move. The Bear, Morgan State, does he have enough left in the tank? Here comes Mincy. Caleb Mincy, the freshman, in his first ever MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship, is going to take the 1,500-meter title. Welcome to MEAC Track and Field, young man. What a start to his career.
Caleb Mincy. It's somewhere my dad is proud. The Morgan State Bears take the men's 1,500 meters. A heck of a race. And, you know, we don't have to be prognosticators about this. We've seen this race before. But what a great finish in these last 200 meters. Coming around at 120 here, you see now about the last 100. You have two runners from Norfolk State out, as we mentioned. But Caleb, as you mentioned, Mincy on the outside. And that's a longer distance to travel. And a freshman. But the legs carry the Morgan State Bear across the finish line first. Unbelievable.
Freshman from Abingdon, Maryland, out of Calvert Hall, that athletic powerhouse there in Baltimore. Wins it, his first ever outdoor track and field championship, and he's going to take gold. We'll have him atop the podium when we return.
I wasn't born a leader.
It wasn't given to me.
I couldn't buy it.
How'd I get here?
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
Decide to lead. Enroll in ROTC to become an Army officer.
There is a conference where the student and student athlete still matters, where geography means something, and where rivalries are measured in decades, not dollars. In this conference, we push one another to greater heights on the field, the court, the track, and in the classroom. Here, we stay true to our values, and we stay true to each other. The Mideastern Athletic Conference, where champions are made.
Please focus your attention to the calculations in the mid-championship. In third place, from Golden State University, Big Jim Jumo. In second place, from Golden State Barefoot Drive. And you see, I'm done my 100 meters. One more they stay on the top 3 mile about 6.
I keep on milk. It's too much wind guts, that's all. It just pops right up. It's all good, I'm alright. Yes, sir. I know.
Welcome back. Live coverage of the 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships continues from Norfolk State University as we turn our sights to our women's 100-meter hurdles. Again, all finals today. Day 3, final day of the championship. Howard looking to accrue some big points. The Bison well represented in this race, to put it mildly.
It is Howard on top of 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 Howard.
6 of the 8 in the field are Bison. And the exceptions, Brooklyn Robinson from Norfolk State, the junior, in lane 6. And in lane 8, the freshman from South Carolina State, Kira Smalls. Everyone else representing Howard University in this race. The best seed time, as you see, the junior, a time of 12:09.8, the only sub-13-second time in the field.
Yes. But we've seen Brooklyn Robinson on the podium before for Norfolk State. And this is just going to be a fun one because I think if you press too hard and you forget your technique, you could push down one of these hurdles and take yourself out of the race.
See the aforementioned Robinson there in the yellow singlet, the junior, the Spartan in lane 6. Smalls of South Carolina State here on the near side, the white singlet in lane 8. Temperature just about 85 degrees Fahrenheit, a slight breeze. You can see the flags on the other side.
Thank you.
That will be in the face of the runners here, so no wind-aided times. Wind swirling around a bit. Underway, women's 100-meter hurdle finals. Howard, there is Robinson as well, trying to catch up. So Howard will take it. It's going to be, the best seat time. Came in with that time of 12:09.8, finished his 12:08.4. Robinson finishing 13:05, and Woodruff of Howard in third. And the Bison starting to accrue more points. We mentioned Foss. Obviously, you want to be atop the podium, but look, 1, 3, 4, 5, all Bison, big points for Howard winning.
Huge. And, you know, when you when you see what went on the track, I believe it was Marcia Say, what a great technically sound race, but the power to get over these hurdles, these high hurdles, and the women at 33 inches per hurdle. A great race won by the prohibitive favorite, as you say.
It is indeed Marcia Say who takes it. Nicely done there. Big points for her side. Say the graduate student from London, England, by way of the Ohio State University. The former Buckeye now calling the district home. Robinson finishing second, and then a Bison at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Big points.
Yes, sir.
To start to add up. We'll take a look at our updated team standings when we return. Live coverage. Welcome back. Championship Saturday here at the Commonwealth. It's the 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship on ESPN Plus. Glad to have you with us. He's Steve Foster. I'm Tip McGonigal. The women's 100-meter hurdles just having wrapped up. Marcia Say, the transfer from Ohio State, the London, England native, taking that for Howard. To take a look at the updated team standings. On the men's side, 11 of 21 events scored. Norfolk State with a sizable lead over North Carolina Central. On the women's side, Norfolk State leading, but Howard Bison starting to creep back, and they are narrowing that margin.
You know, with one event, Howard could be right there in the women's, only a mere 23 points. That's a first, second, and third. And look out, the standings could change.
They very well could. Glad to have you with us. Take a look at what we have coming for you. It'll be our men's 110-meter hurdles coming up. Then we turn our sights to the 400 meters. 800, 200, 4x4. A full day of action for you here from Norfolk State University. Beautiful Dick Price Stadium, home of the Spartans football and track and field. We get ready for our men's 110-meter hurdles. Best seat time of the bunch. Another freshman. Foss, we saw a freshman, Caleb Mincy from Oregon State, win the men's 1500. A great kick at the end. Impressive stuff as he set a PR and won his first ever gold in the MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship. Another freshman to keep an eye on from Eastern Shore, Clark, Yori Lawrence. He will be in 5. He has the best seat time of 13.75. Lane assignments.
They call them the high hurdles.
They do indeed.
Raised up to 42 inches.
James Saunders, Norfolk State in 1. Charlie Thomas of South Carolina State in 2. Justin Watterson of Howard in 3. Bryce Wilson of South Carolina State in 4. As we mentioned, Clark Yori Lawrence of Eastern Shore in 5. Noah Langford of Howard in 6. Jaden Ra Akbar of Morgan State in 7. Alexander Holloman of South Carolina State rounds out the field. He will be in lane number 8.
Noah Langford, not one to be counted out for the Bison.
Senior has the second best seed time, 13.87. He and Yori Lawrence, the only 2 times, Lawrence Clark, the only 2 sub 14 seconds for Yori Lawrence Clark. And Noah Langford in 5 and 6 respectively, 2 to keep an eye on. Issues at the start in the men's 110-meter hurdles, and you can see some less than pleased individuals. It's such a difficult thing, and there's the card coming out. There was indeed a false start, and that, I believe, is being shown to the star freshman from Eastern Shore.
Oh, it's his, he had the slippage of his blocks.
Did indeed. That's an issue. Obviously, you have nerves in a race like this, championship Saturday. Doesn't make things any easier. Have to get in blocked for the second time.
No, and that's, you don't see this too often, that the block slides back when you push off. And that is troubling. And again, first time here on a collegiate level, and you have to really check your equipment. You think there's no equipment for a track runner, just his shoes or her shoes. Well, when you have the blocks like this, kid, all important to anchor those blocks. You know, a lot of times in high school, you'll see people sitting down, pushing against those blocks with their feet, allowing that runner to push off and not have those blocks slide. You don't have that on this level and higher. You have to anchor the block down on that tartan track to ensure that you don't see, because that's a Newton's law. There's an equal and opposite reaction. And right there, when you push off heading towards the hurdles, if there's no anchor, then that block will slide back.
Right you are, and the freshman, the star hawk out of Eastern Shore, false start issued as he tries to get things situated. You see him right there, just kind of stamping down on the back of the block, making sure they are well affixed to the track. Our second go of things here. And 1 to 10 high hurdle finals. All finals today, no prelims. More issues at the starting line, it appears. We've seen a false start. May well see another.
So now the question becomes not of the times, but of your skill to get over these hurdles, because now there's a disruption. Not only one, but two, Kit. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But the start is affecting this race now.
It absolutely is. And now having issues on not one, but two occasions, it's starting to get into the mind of the hurdlers here. They're going to have to get a clean start and focus on the task at hand. Easier said than done, obviously. So here we go. Again, Jory Lawrence Clark there in black for Eastern Shore. The freshman is starting to pull ahead. Langford there to his right. Coming over the final hurdle. Langford may have had enough, but I believe he did.
Technique, son.
Well, Langford, the senior from Howard, able to get it. It was the final hurdle, and he will nip the freshman in his final MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship. The Bison takes first, and he would be joined on the podium by his teammate Justin Watterson, who finishes with the bronze.
And it was getting over the last hurdle and putting your body in position to have more of the momentum going forward and not up, because you have to step over a 40+ inch hurdle. After you do that, got about 7 or 8 meters left until you cross the finish line. You have Jory Lawrence Clark getting out great, actually ahead, but at the end you see the technique in holding the form over the last two hurdles, and the body lean was consistent for the senior Noah Langford.
Even with all the issues in the start, the top 5 competitors all setting personal records.
Had to. Given the scenario. Absolutely. Great race, though.
Langford, Lawrence Clark, Watterson 1, 2, and 3. But certainly, Jory Lawrence Clark, one to keep an eye on. A very bright future at MEAC Track and Field for the freshman from Eastern Shore.
Absolutely. No shame getting over hurdles for 110 meters. There's some people that can't run 13.7 with no hurdles.
Watterson and Langford will be top of the podium, first and third. Lawrence Clark finishing second. They will be presented their medals momentarily. And we'll turn our sights to the women's 400-meter dash. So again, if you're just joining us on the women's side, Howard looking for their 4th straight outdoor track and field championship here in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Norfolk State Spartan men looking to do the same. David Oliver for Howard and his counterpart Kenneth Giles for Norfolk State. They have absolute juggernauts.
Yeah, I mean, huge. And that's what you love about day 3. You come and see some terrific performances because you don't have any other wiggle room for position in the team championship after today. For those who may have to check this on YouTube, the original Rocky movie, during the part they say, there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. And that's the same here for the MEAC championship.
Take a look at the updated standings on the women's side. 13 of 21 events having been scored. It is now a 1-point lead for the Spartans. A single point separating Norfolk State and Howard. We mentioned those points that Howard accrued. We saw them back at the 100-meter hurdles. Those are starting to add up and starting dare I say, they're looking to get back into pole position, a place that they are accustomed to being in.
Yes. And we see this. This is what's so intriguing about the MEAC championships is that you try to put a mark out and then keep up or just hope that the ground that's made up by the Howard Bison women just doesn't swallow you up if you're at the top, whatever team and whichever team that is.
That's exactly what
It's usually been Norfolk State.
it has. They got off to a good start. They won the 3,000-meter steeplechase. They were able to accrue some points early on the 10,000-meter races. Did a fantastic job winning both the men's and women's. But now with the sprints and the relays, Howard, this is where the Bison shine. They are just 1 point back in the women's team standings.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this was one of the better races we've seen. Not that, again, that 1,500 meters was excellent as well on the men's side. But because of the difficulties of the start in the blocks, a couple of false starts, in the sense that there's restarts to then see how close this race was down to the last 2 hurdles.
We'll step aside. When we return, we'll have some men atop the podium as we crown our men.
In second place,
Our bronze, silver, and now gold medalists in the men's 110 high hurdles. Noah Langford, the graduate student at Virginia Beach, came from behind. It came down to the last hurdle. That was enough as he was able to overtake the very talented freshman, Lawrence Clark, and Langford in his final go at things here in the MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship. A gold medal around his neck as the 110-meter champion in the men's high hurdles.
And again, I think the technique was it at the end. And the senior, been in this race before, and he didn't win by much. But again, just those little things about keeping the body lean over the last hurdle. We get a chance to.
They may have indeed the opportunity to catch up with Mr. Langford, and we will see. It did come down to that final hurdle. There are your final times: 13.64 for Noah Langford, Yuri Lawrence Clark 13.76, Justin Watterson finishing third, 13.98. So a pair of Bison atop the podium for Howard. Big points for the men's team scores. We've already seen their women. Now, without further ado, joined by your men's 110-meter hurdle champion and the graduate student from Virginia Beach, Noah Langford.
Hello. I don't know. I don't think they
Noah,
saying
can you
nothing.
hear us?
I'm not saying anything right now. Oh, I can hear you now, yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Technical issues, it appears. We will speak with. And now, without further ado, Noah Langford joining us trackside, the gold medal around his neck. Noah, it came down to the final hurdle. You were behind going into that final hurdle. Walk us through the final few meters of that race.
I just trusted my training. I trusted David Oliver's coaching. I knew at about the 7th hurdle, I just hit my gap, and we worked on this. Not that much this year, but we worked on it. And I was able to come out with the victory. All glory to God. And I just want to say thank you, Jesus, for blessing me with this opportunity. Also, I can say that I'm just happy to bring the crown to Howard University in these 110 hurdles. These past couple years, Dylan Beard had won it. Sam had won it. Now I'm a champion. I just want to say thank you, Howard University.
Noah, it seemed to me that you had body control that the freshmen didn't. And the last 2 hurdles, you kept yourself with the body lean and then had enough in holding your form to get that 1/10 of a second faster.
That really just comes from David Oliver, best coach in the world, best athlete in the world in the 110 hurdles. He always talks about staying composed. Technique will get you very far in this event, and I would say I was just technically sound in that race all the way through 10 hurdles. He tells me dive 10 times, and I did that today.
Congratulations.
You did indeed. Congratulations. Your MEAC Outdoor Track and Field champion in the men's 110-meter hurdles. Congratulations, Noah Langford.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Virginia Beach native, transfer from Hampton University, as we now turn our sights to the women's 400-meter dash finals. Best seed time of the bunch there in lane 5. Nairi Backus, the junior from NC Central, 53.76. She and Cadence Taylor, the freshman from Norfolk State, the only two with time sub 54 seconds. You saw the updated standings there as well. We'll take another look at those in a bit. Again, the women's 400-meter dash. Glad to have you with us. A full day of action. Appears that we have had a runner disqualified from the 400-meter. That is going to be a false start to Delgin Frederick of South Carolina State. Frederick, who is in lane 1, the senior, done and less than pleased, you would imagine. Unfortunately, that is how things go sometimes. We're down to 7. Frederick out of the race, false start. No one in lane 1. Underway, women's 400-meter finals. Back is the junior from NC Central in 5. Norfolk State's talented freshman Cadence Taylor in 3. A lot of young talent, freshmen and sophomores in this race, boding well for the future. Who comes away with the 2025 crown? There in the black from NC Central in 5. On the side of her, Turner of Howard. Zoe Turner of Howard leading the way. And here come a pair of Bison. Howard looking to take the 400, coming from behind. And it will indeed be Howard. Kind of lost it. The sophomore. What a final 50 meters she ran there. Zoe Turner, her teammate, finished in second. Lost at a winning time of 53.75. Backus finishing in 3rd.
It's training. It's all training. And you have to have a belief in that stride and turnover in that last 50 meters. That it doesn't feel good. And you see after coming off of turn 4, it's anybody's race. And it doesn't look like lane 6 till the last 50 meters. And then the turnover is faster. See the form being held. And you see the victor. And it is a bear because Zoe Turner, after she crosses the finish line, is exhausted.
What a race there. Lawson, your winner. Turner finishing second. Backus in 3rd. Lawson, the junior out of Montclair, New Jersey. A fantastic final 50 meters. She had enough left in the tank. She is your women's 400-meter dash champion. Lawson winning that as we quickly turn our sights to the men's 400-meter dash. To lane assignments. Daniel Cunningham, Coppin State, the senior in 1. Elijah Grant, freshman Howard in 2. Rick Winfield, the senior from Norfolk State in 3. Isaiah Burgess, junior from South Carolina State in 4. Premier Wynn, sophomore from Norfolk State in 5. His classmate and teammate Vincent Bond in 6. Morgan State's Dante Jackson in 7. And the freshman from North Carolina Central, Zion Amadi, in lane 8, rounding out the field in the men's 400-meter dash.
And just to give a quick update, Valencia Taylor of Norfolk State, she had a PR. The freshman did in that 400 women's final.
Men's 400-meter, best seed time of the bunch. Premier Wynn, the sophomore from Norfolk State, in 5, 46 flat. You see his teammate Vincent Bond right there, not far behind, 46.86. Those two, the only time sub 47 seconds. They are right next to each other in lanes 5 and 6 respectively. Saw the Bison women earlier picking up big points for that team title. Here's a chance for Norfolk State men to do the same if they can get 2 on the podium. Obviously looking for a 1-2 finish, but trying to get finishers as high as you can. And Giles, his men looking for their 4th consecutive MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship. It's the 54th year of intercollegiate athletics in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Big thanks to our host here at Norfolk State University. Fantastic job here. The 8 institutions of the historically black colleges and universities across the Atlantic coastline. Always proud to be a part of it. Win in 5, his teammate Bond in 6, 2 to keep an eye on. Clean start, men's 400-meter dash. And pulling up, that was a Spartan. That may have been Premier Win. We will see. Vincent Bond, and have to keep an eye on that. So a big loss for Norfolk State. One of their top 2 sprinters not in the competition. On the man who did, that was indeed. So here comes Wynn on the inside. Winfield, his teammate, and pair of Spartans 1 and 2. Who will cross the line first? And it appears it is going to be Premier Wynn. No surprise there for the man with the best seed time. Premier Wynn 46.53. His teammate Kendrick Winfield finishing 46.69. Dante Jackson, Morgan State finishing in 3rd. Saw Vincent Bond pulling up there early in the race, did not finish. Norfolk State had the opportunity maybe for a podium sweep. They will not. Dante Jackson finishing 3rd.
Yeah, and you never like to see an injury. We saw Winfield on the indoor season hit, and then Premier Win. And these 2 teammates, again, coming down, holding the form. There's a lot of speed in both of these athletes. No question. But again, form, stride, and turnover was a part of a great finish. A 1-2 finish, nonetheless, for Norfolk State.
You're right about that. Big points for the Spartan. They will add some to that men team quest for their 4th as we turn our sights over to the podium for the women's 400-meter dash medal presentation. And Howard, a pair of Bison on the podium. Kyle Lawson finishing 1st. Zoe Turner 2nd, and Nairi Backless of North Carolina Central there finishing in 3rd. There's the final 50 meters for Lawson. The Garden State native who really turned it on. That was the difference. Looked for a bit that it was going to be her teammate Turner taking gold. Lawson had other ideas.
That is correct, Kit. And, what a great race, though. Got to run every meter to the end. And it goes by quick. And that sprint like that, give it to the one that lasts. And you see that competitor high atop of this podium.
All right, Lawson, 10 points for her team. Turner contributing with 8. That 2nd place finish for the Bison. 1 and 2 for Howard in the women's 400 meter. Coming up next, it'll be the 100-meter dash. Always a fan favorite. Look at the times there. Lawson 53.75. Turner 54.58. Moving swiftly, promptly through. Championship Saturday here, the finals. Third final day of competition in the 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Live from Norfolk State University, Dick Price Stadium. And now joined by our winner in the women's 400-meter finals, the Garden State native, Kyle Lawson. And you and your teammate, Zoe Turner, you were right there, but it was the final 50 meters that ultimately gave you the victory. Walk us through the final 50 meters of that race, if you would.
Last 50 meters, I was like, I didn't want to be beat. So in my head, I was just like, kind of just have to give it my all and pump my arms and just die, really, which I did. So yeah.
Kaya, we saw that. You held your form admirably, and with such the competition literally on your heels. That's about the training. Tell us, the Howard women have done so well over these last few years of team championship. What's that mean to you?
It means a lot to me. We come together as a girls team to hype each other up and just try to do well because we know what we're capable of.
Well, you and your teammate Zoe Turner certainly did your part, contributing 18 points. Kaya Lawson, your women's 400-meter champion. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We talked about that team title, hyping each other up, and I think when you see your teammate there in the final straightaway and you're there as well, you're kind of like, okay, we're going to do this. Finish 1-2. The only question is who's going to finish first, who's going to finish second?
Right.
Kaya Lawson had enough left in the tank, as she said, and I quote, died out there. She did. She gave it all in that final few meters.
Well, you're not going to usually win anything not going all out at some point. You know, and you've got to determine when that point is best. And most all would agree the championship would be the best time to do it. And she said she didn't want to lose. I want to lose.
She did not. As we turn our sights to the women's 100-meter dash, pure flat-out speed. Everybody loves the 100-meter, and for good reason.
Yes.
Ellie Collins, the senior from Howard, best seed time, 11:19. She will be in lane 5. Howard, as you would imagine, well represented. Mackenzie Robinson, their sophomore, in lane 1. Lucy Hork compensate the senior in 2. Marcia Say, we've already seen the junior from Howard. She will be in lane 3. Ayana Gray Williams, the sophomore from Howard, in 4. Collins, her teammate, in 5. Brooklyn Robinson of Norfolk State, one to keep an eye on in 6. And Sutton of NC Central in 7. And rounding out the field for Maryland Eastern Shore, Alyssa Diet in lane number 8. So more medals being presented over on the podium. Your triple jump winners. And, well, one thing that doesn't take much to figure out, that is more points coming for the Bison. A podium sweep for Howard in the triple jump. Back over the women's 100-meter dash.
Going to be interesting to see how they figure their blocks out, given the men's issues in the 110 high hurdles. Those 110 highs are high. 40 plus inches, 42 to be exact. And Kit.
Howard on top of the women's side. Last time we checked, they were a point back of Norfolk State. They have now taken over first place, and they have some breathing room to boot due to the Bison. Over on the men's side, Norfolk State extending their lead over North Carolina Central. We talked about it in the open. North Carolina Central, could they be the team to give Norfolk State some trouble, to test them, as Sparks looking for their 4th consecutive men's team title? Right now, Norfolk State starting to pull away, as are the Howard women.
Yeah, and, you know, we looked at going into day 3, who could do what, and so far the consistency has been there. Also, with the fact that we knew that the Howard Bison women were going to be charging literally down the track.
Collins of Howard, the senior, in lane 5. PR of 11:12. Underway, clean start, women's 100-meter finals. There is Collins. Teammates on her side, Gray Williams and Say, but it's Collins pulling away. It was never in doubt, it appeared. Collins downshifted and left the rest of the field in the dust. 11:28 for Collins. Say finishing 2nd, Gray Williams in 3rd. Another podium sweep for the Bison.
It's impressive. You saw that there was some separation in our last update, but you can add 27 more points just on that top 3 podium finish sweep by the Howard Bison. And again, good start, and you just see the form. Their track coaching just has, it is just go get to where your form needs to be, and they hold it extremely well down the track.
Riley Collins, a graduate student out of Houston. He transferred from the University of Texas, the former Longhorn, making waves in the district. Turn our sights to the men's 400-meter podium. There's Norfolk State finishing in third is Dante Jackson. Kendrick Winfield of Norfolk State finishing second, and Premier Wynn, his teammate, atop the podium. We mentioned the points for the Bison women, a podium sweep, 1 and 2 here. Big points for the Spartan men.
Yes, they continue to dominate on the men's side so far. As you mentioned, North Carolina Central looking to try to close that gap, but that the finishes that the Spartans are doing here at home, wow, they are really creating separation that may be difficult to overcome.
They are indeed. So impressive stuff. 1 and 2 for Norfolk State. Able to pick up some big points there. A man that, well, we assumed would be very much in the mix of things is coming up. Now joined by the man who was moments ago atop the podium, Premier Wynn, a sophomore from New Jersey. And to talk about this, I mean, not just a victory for you, but a 1-2 finish for your Spartan. Big team points there.
Sorry, I could barely hear him.
1-2 finish.
Oh yeah, I mean, like this, this is our house, and of course we're gonna defend it. It should have been 1-2-3, but unfortunately, Vincent pulled it up. I hope he's okay, but like I said, this is our house. We run on this track every day, and of course we're gonna defend it.
Good stuff there, Premier. Congratulations. Impressive stuff. 1-2 finish. Big points for your Spartan men. We'll let you go.
Thank you so much.
Premier Wynn, 46.53, your men's 400-meter champion, as we turn our sights quickly back over to the men's 100-meter final. Here are the lane assignments. Evans of Howard into lane of South Carolina State, in 2. Evans is in 1. Dan Prince of Howard in 3. College of Eastern Shore in 4. Hammond from Coppin State in 5. His teammate Drake's in 6. Baskin of Norfolk State in 7. And Antoine Smith, his fellow Spartan, rounding out the field in lane number 8. Best seed time, Solomon Hammond, junior from Coppin State, occupying lane 5 at 10.12. Absolutely flying. Men's 100 meter. Off we go, pulling away. Hammond. Solomon Hammond made it look easy. 10.14 for the Coppin State Eagle. His teammate Carl Drake's finishing in 2nd. Dan Princewell of Howard in 3rd.
Fast. Very, very fast. And great technique, like when you shot out of a cannon. Solomon Hammond, really good. Smooth through the drive phase. Didn't really have to do much to get up and running. Didn't rush his technique. Got out to the start and led from start to finish.
We'll step aside when we return. Live coverage of the 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship. Podium sweep for the Bison in the women's 100-meter dash. Collins, Say, Gray Williams, 1, 2, 3. The Texan Kylie Collins taking it 11-8, the winning time there. And Voss, you said it, 4 points for the Bison women as they continue to pad their lead, looking for their 4th consecutive MEAC Outdoor Track and Field team title.
That's the way you do it. That is the quintessential example of gathering points for a team championship.
Podium finish, and that is how you draw it up. David Oliver will no doubt be pleased with that. As Collins say, Gray Williams atop the podium, and now joined by the winner of the women's 100-meter dash, the Texan Kylie Collins. Impressive stuff, not just your victory, but the fact that you were joined on the podium by a pair of teammates.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's how we do. That's what we came here to do. We've been training hard with each other. We've been using each other as healthy competition at practice as you should. And it's no surprise to come out here and do what we do. So,
Kylie, we know about Cy Ranch. We got my boys went to Jersey Village. We know 290.
I'm old now. That was so long ago.
But you also were Michael A. Myers as well. How was the culmination of Texas and where you're from, your roots, helped you here for the Howard Bison?
I would say I am so very eternally grateful for my journey. Every school that I've been to, every coach that I've had has just grown me in a way that I feel like I wouldn't have grown without them. God has been like so good and just moving in my life everywhere that I have went. So that confidence that I need to know that I can go past my limits, I'm ready. Like, it's here. It took me long enough to get here, but it's here. So I'm excited to see the rest of the season.
Your women's 100-meter champion, and she's from Houston, but if you know it, they call it Speed City for a reason. Congratulations, Kylie.
Come on. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congrats.
Turning our sights over to the women's 800-meter finals. Continuing very quickly here, best seed time, Camille Egbulla, the senior from Howard, at 2:06.82. She has already introduced herself, as we saw her won the women's 1500 meter, on that with a PR of 4:28.56. Egbulla in this race with the 5 on her hip. Right now leading the way, her teammate Tiffany Mugabe, the freshman from Howard, there at the front. Here in our women's 800 meter.
So interestingly enough, you talk about how these races get run. This is really a sprint, but you don't have someone in that half mile, which was the traditional 800, and then you have the 1500. You see a different strategy. You don't have to go out and necessarily lead in this first lap like you may want to in the second. Now, that seems obvious, but you would think if someone had that much turnover, they could lead from start to finish, and maybe they don't want to do that to win this race.
Gooby, Lewis, Johnson right now, and now finding a way. Going ahead there, Lewis. Anna Lewis, as we come to the final straightaway, who has enough left to take this one? Here comes Egbulla. She won the 1500, and she is going to double up, adding the 8 to it as well. Another conference title for Camille Egbulla.
Doesn't matter how you do it. You can lead from start to finish, or you can finish strong in that last 70 meters. You saw that. You saw the kick. You saw the strength. You saw the power of a champion.
Lewis of Norfolk State finishing second. Jackson, North Carolina Central in third, but it is Camille Egbulla, the South Carolina native, adding another gold medal here in the 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championship. Won the 15, and now your 800-meter champion as well.
And the thing is, don't look tired after they run. That's crazy. That's to the conditioning. Coach Oliver, as you've heard the athletes talk about the Howard Bison track and field coach, he certainly got a program going for the Bison.
Does indeed. Congratulations. We will step aside. When we return, it'll be the men's 800 meter here at the 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Commonwealth. Lane assignments, familiar names. Jujuma, Norfolk State in 1. Asa Francis, Coppin State in 2. His teammate, Jay Norval, in 3. Caleb Bensi, the freshman, talented Morgan State Bear, 4. Dallas Pasquan O in 5. Ithium Torgbenu in 6. Rashane Fullerton in 7. And Jalen Ridgway rounds out the field in 8. Does the Hawk of Eastern Shore.
I like that name, Fidelis Osuna.
We've already seen Caleb Mency, the talented freshman from Morgan State, won the men's 1500. We had the same woman win the 15 and 800. Camila Igbula, a senior from Howard. We'll see if that is the case here for the men's 800 as well. Mency, freshman, already making a stamp on things in his first MEAC outdoor track and field season.
And again, a different race. So you don't necessarily have to have the winner be a wire-to-wire person.
Those Simquo leading the way. Jay Norval and his teammate Torgbenu, Francis, 2, 3, and 4 respectively here through the first lap in our 800 meter.
I'm bringing it home here. About the last 200, Kit.
Trying to hold on. Freshman from Eastern Shore. Oh, coming through, making a move here in the final straightaway. Torgbenu of Coppin State, the senior. And he will take it around the final turn into the last 100 meters. And Etienne Torgbenu of Coppin State takes it 1:53.07. Sunquo finishing second, and Rashane Fullerton of Morgan State in third. It was all about the final 100 meters. Torgbenu around the curve. You see it right here on the outside, starts to make his move.
Right, about 120, 125. And and you practice this. They call them like 120, 120 flies. And you just get a start, you come around, turn 3, and then you just, no blocks, just fly. And you practice that, Kid. And all these athletes conditioned for that. And it was a close one. You had about 6 athletes all in a group there.
When we return, it'll be the 400-meter hurdles as coverage of the 2025 MEAC.
Top three in the base. Yeah, I believe we will hold the feel that this time. Match Sweats and those Central. Sean Shelby, no same thing. Carter, South State, and the fourth quarter. To the infield, fitness, just like. Hey, so the halftime music is wrong. Match Sweats and those Central. Nelson English, remote Central, and Sean Lee was the middle of you. It's me, so people in the area, it's not time. We're building a strong future with the learn, support the law, and we bring us. We've done we've done great things. John Johnson, Brown, because these things that I talked about. John Johnson, great moments, man. Well, Fargo, the big field, where they search the right, that's everybody on your bringing on services. You can start your big tricks to be so far north because we have the evidence on one the big ACC stars on Fargo.com/ACC. Maybe sports on ESPN Plus. Also, make sure you follow us for all things. It's a great way for next. In second place, we're rolling 56 minutes.
Welcome back. Take a look at the updated standings. The 2025 MEAC Track and Field Championship. Howard, some breathing room on the women's side. Bison accruing those points here on the final days. We knew they would. They are now in first by some margin. Norfolk State in second. The battle for third, though, between Oregon State and Delaware State. The Bears and the Hornets will keep an eye on that. Over on the men's side, Norfolk State extending their lead over NC Central. But Howard dipping at their heels in third. Could they overtake the Eagles and put themselves in second?
Well, not even that. Then there's a fight for fourth and fifth. So a lot of great competition going on between these 8 institutions. This is what you love. It's day 3, and it's championship deciding day.
It is indeed. Women's 400-meter hurdles. Lane assignments. In a dire of Norfolk State in 1. Quasia Williams of South Carolina State in 2. Lindsey Johnson of Howard in 3. Her teammate, Mary Billups, in 4. Ariana Smith of Howard in 5. Anaya Woodruff in 6. Iwuri Okwuogbone of Delaware State in 7. And Gianna Marquez of North Carolina Central rounds out the field. She will be in lane number 8.
And Williams in lane 2 getting those blocks set, making her marks. Marking all, because Kit, not everybody's feet are placed the same in the blocks. It's what you trained for, what's best for your setup to push and get out of those blocks quickly.
Saw an issue with the blocks earlier. Thankfully, that has not repeated itself. Women's 400-meter hurdles. Ariana Smith in 5. The best seed time, 57.89. Underway. And Smith in 5. Billups and Woodruff, her teammates, flanking her in lanes 4 and 6 respectively. Howard looking for another podium sweep to extend their lead on the women's side. Certainly an opportunity to do so here with such talent in the middle of the field. Here they come. Final hurdle for the Bison women here. The women's 400-meter hurdles. Howard looking for that podium sweep we mentioned, and they are going to have it 1, 2, 3. And, well, let's add a 4th to that as well. Smith, Woodruff, Billups atop the podium. Johnson finishing 4.
Impressive. That's how you gather, let's see, 19 and 15. That's going to give me 34 points. That's how you get up the hill quick.
That is definitely how you do it. There is no debate about that one.
You see just a little hesitation there over that hurdle by Woodruff. And that slight time differential. Let's Ariana Smith keep her stride and finish strong. But again, 4 of the women from Howard, 1st through 4th.
Smith, Woodruff, Phillip, Johnson, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Women's 400-meter hurdle podium.
A sweep kit by the women of Howard. And also, even though not shown on the podium, Lindsey Johnson finishing in 4th.
You said it, Foss. Not just a sweep of the podium, but a 1, 2, 3, 4 finish for Howard as your winner. Ariana Smith setting a PR 56.11 there. Woodruff finishing 2nd, 57.24. And Billups 58.54.
Impressive. You know, you talk about the individual accolades of all of these athletes for all 8 institutions, but here you see a team effort. 1st through 4th, that's all that was entered, and all were in the top 4.
Now on to the men's 400-meter hurdles. Moving quickly along here in the competition. As we get ready, take a look at our lane assignments for this one. Juan Christopher, Norfolk State, the senior in 1. Donovan Dixon, Delaware State in 2. His teammate Alonzo Sims Jr. in 3. Fari Bishop, Norfolk State in 4. Noah Langford, the man who won the 110 hurdles, in 5. Jared Gentles of Coppin State in 6. Jaden Barker of South Carolina State in 7. His teammate Josiah Rayford rounding out the field in lane number 8.
Question is, can Noah Langford, the senior, do it again? He's been impressive. Had the Midas touch at the end of, and there is Langford, at the end of the race earlier to take home gold for the Howard men. And again, we spoke about North Carolina Central and the Howard men vying for 2nd place.
Exactly right about that. Langford at the best seed time. The senior from Howard at 50.30 for the graduate student. Transfer from Hampton University, Virginia Beach native. Can he double up? He's already taken the 110. Can he add a 400-meter hurdle crown to that as well?
My stepmom's alma mater of Hampton. They have some illustrious alums that we are familiar with as well. Kit?
Do indeed. Ready to get underway. Men's 400-meter finals. Coming up next, it'll be the 200 meters. Start to wrap things up here from Norfolk State, culminating with the 4x4. Clean start, men's 400-meter hurdles. Langford in 5. No, I spoke too soon, and now that is what happens. And they're in lane 7. Jaden Barker, the senior from South Carolina State. You saw him down on the track. See him there in the bottom right of your screen. Just a slip at the start. Frustrating for Barker.
And this is interesting. You know, we've done track and field for a while. Not seen one meet or championship have so many issues with the start, and in particular, not just the start, but the blocks. You're responsible as the competitor to set your blocks. That means get where you want your feet to be. There's adjustments left and right. You walk off that and turn around, make sure you have everything to your liking. But most importantly, you've got to step on the back of those blocks in the front so they're anchored in to the track so that they don't move.
Barker doing it right there. That is the 3rd such issue we have seen with the blocks today.
Very surprising, especially in the final day of the championship. And these are all quality universities and athletes that are out here.
We will give it another go. Men's 400-meter finals. Another slip. That appeared to be Barker yet again, and we will continue things. Men's 400-meter hurdles. So some issues with the start persists. Langford there in the middle of your screen, the white singlet, navy blue shorts. The 5 on his hip for Howard, coming around the final turn. Langford and Gentles 5 and 6. Here comes Langford. Gentles there as well. Langford pulling ahead as much as he did in the 110. Smooth as you please. Langford comes across, trying to hold on, looks back, and he will ultimately. As Noah Langford finishes 56.5. Bishop of Norfolk State finishes second, and Gentles of Coppin State drops down to third.
Solid race for Langford. We wondered, could he double? The answer is yes. And again, the senior using a lot of strength and technique to get over the hurdles. And we go back, and again, we saw an unusual block start. And then after the fix, it still moves. Still moves again. I'm not certain because, again, you're talking about athletes that have gone through a season now. This is the championship weekend. This isn't, tri-meet or something like that, dual meet, where you have 2 schools or 3 schools. And we see Langford pick it back up here. Just very surprising, Kit. But again, these athletes still competing mightily for championships.
Langford doubling up the 110 and now the 400 to his credit. When we return, the women's 200-meter finals here in place between the Bison and the Eagles of Coppin State.
Yeah, that's a point difference there. But also on the women, a dead heat for third. You know, still team competition. And there's a lot to be played out and a lot that is there to be earned. Howard and Coppin State, as you mentioned. Now, Coppin State moving ahead of North Carolina Central, the men, for third. But then, again, as mentioned, for the women, Morgan State and Delaware State, the Bears and the Hornets vying for third.
They are indeed. So battles on both the men's and women's side in the team standings. Men with 4 events remaining to be scored. Women with just 3. We've been focusing on the track events, but obviously the field events going on as well outside of the stadium here at beautiful Dick Price Stadium, Norfolk State. And a Spartan calling this facility home is your men's hammer throw champion. Congratulations there. Continue to move along quickly here, getting to the business end of things on Championship Saturday, Foss. Weather has held for us, hot and humid, but no precipitation in the forecast, and for that we are very grateful. Women's 200-meter coming up. Our men's 200, then the 5,000, and finally the 4x4. Just 3 events remaining today. The Howard women, the Norfolk State men, inch closer to what would be their 4th consecutive team title on the women and men's side, respectively.
This could be a fun race, Kit. Again, the 200 having a grouping of times that are very close in nature. So you see, as you mentioned, See some 23, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, and then 24 is right there. So who can get around this turn and hold that form back straight away? This was my favorite race because that 100, they just seem to be, I'm like, wow, that's really fast. But here, especially running the turn, which on the sprint relay, I was third leg, and then getting some momentum up to then carry and hold that form down the back straight away. It's all mental from there and turnover.
Take a look at our lane assignments for the women's 200-meter dash final. Ruby Hoare, the senior from Coppin State, will be in 1. Mackenzie Robinson, the sophomore from Howard, in 2. Kyla Fortune, a freshman from Coppin State, in 3. Ayana Gray-Williams from Howard in 4. Her classmate, fellow sophomore from Howard, Kyle Lawson, in 5. Haley Collins, the senior from Howard, in 6. Xavier Robinson, Morgan State, in 7. And the sophomore, Lance Sutton from North Carolina Central, in lane 8.
It's going to be a battle between the Howard Bison women. They compete, and they do this all season in practice. So Coach Oliver, very pleased to see his athletes performing here in the championship.
On for Howard, you have Lawson, who won the 400. You have Collins, who won the 100. And off we go, women's 200-meter dash final. Lawson in 5. Collins right next to her in 6. The sophomore and senior from Howard, respectively. Into the curve, and there they are. Collins on the outside, Lawson on the end. Lawson starting to find a bit of space on her teammate. Lawson holding her form, and it will indeed be Kyle Lawson who takes it. 22.87. Haley Collins finishing second, 23.09. The Fortune of Coppin State finishing third. Lawson doubling up, took the 400 and now the 2. Another gold medal soon to be hanging around her neck.
And Kit, the 1-2 punch again by the Howard women. They've gone first and second. They've gone first, second, third, fourth. Just now ensuring this is Geico, State Farm, and Progressive all in one. Nothing but insurance points for the team championship, my man.
It's been rare that there has been just a single Bison on the podium, generally at least 2, and sometimes a podium sweep. Lawson, understandably euphoric with that performance. Another gold medal for her. Lawson, Collins, LaFortune, Robinson of Howard finishing in 6th. Sutton in 4th, and Robinson of Morgan State in 5th. Lawson will need no direction over to the medal podium. She's already made an appearance there. Top that champion block as well. This time joined by her teammate, Kylie Collins.
We've had the opportunity to speak to both of these athletes. And again, they spoke not just about themselves, but how important it was to die on the track for their teammates.
That's what Lawson said earlier, and I think you're exactly right, Foss. That's a great point. When we spoke with Collins, we spoke with Lawson, they both echoed the same sentiments, that it was a team title they were most focused on. They wanted to do their job. They wanted to contribute, win their races, contribute points, but that's credit to David Oliver, what he's been able to accomplish, the consistency of a program that he has there in the district with the Bison. All these athletes buying in. They know that it is not about them. It's about the program and the institution. Credit to him for that.
Very consistent, very solid program. And he a graduate of Howard University.
That gives you an idea of just how proud he is of his alma mater, now the head coach. Very fortunate, obviously, to have his services, a star hurdler in his own right, as we now turn our sights to the men's 200-meter dash. A seed time of the bunch. They're in 5. Vincent Vaughn, a 21.19, the sophomore from Norfolk State. Vaughn will not start as we saw him pull up in his race earlier. So Vaughn not in the race. Solomon Hammond in 6th of Coppin State, one to keep an eye on. Here they come. Hammond, and it's going to be very close. Hammond there, Winfield is where? No, it's going to be Kendrick Winfield. And Winfield, the senior from right here, the Norfolk State Spartan, nipping Hammond 27-0. Winfield, Hammond, and Drakes finishing third. What a race run there. Tight till the finish. Winfield ultimately is going to take it for his Spartans.
Yeah, this is a great race. Everybody's running the turn well. Nothing lacking here. So really when the difference comes down is this last 90 plus meters. And you just really have to get that turnover, hold your form. And here's where you see Winfield just barely by 1/10 of a second.
Again, without his teammate Vincent Vaughn. Vaughn injured in an earlier race, not competing here. So Winfield carrying the flag for the Spartans at home at Dick Price Stadium. He mentioned how close it was. Winfield, Hammond, and Drakes. Those two just 1/100th of a second separating the Eagles in 2nd and 3rd. Step aside, live coverage of the MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships continues. When we return, it'll be the 5,000. Welcome back. Take a look at our updated standings on the men's side. Norfolk State finding some breathing room over Coppin State, but a battle between second and third. Coppin State, Howard, and NC Central all very much in the mix for a podium finish. And on the women's side, Howard as well. You would imagine that they have secured their fourth straight women's title. Norfolk State may well be in second, but another battle for third. Morgan State, Delaware State, NC Central, all in the mix.
Yeah, and again, just looking at who makes it to these finals in these last events. Of course, yes, it come down to that mile relay as we loved it so much. But here in this 5,000, there are NC Central and Norfolk State, Howard, Delaware State, but no Morgan State. So this could play a part for the Bears not picking up any points from this women's 5,000 final.
We are underway. The women's 5,000 meter final. Gabrielle Chibet, the sophomore from Norfolk State, with the 1 on her bib as the best seed time in the group at 17:28.44. Ursuline Caballo, her senior teammate, wearing the number 2. Jocelyn Crosby of Howard, the 3. Senior coach of Norfolk State, the 4. Valencia Denard of NC Central, 5. Rebecca Jagpanich of Maryland Eastern Shore, and 6. Mira Martin of Howard, 7. Sabria Travis from Delaware State, 8. Ashley Laggett, Delaware State, 9. And NC Central's Victoria Swepson in 10. Very early going. Again, Chibet racing on her home track, 17:28. Her teammate Merceline Camayo, the second best time. Camayo, no stranger fans here. Camayo already securing the 3,000 meter steeplechase championship. Did that yesterday, a time of 10:59.16. Also won the 10,000 meter, a 39:27 flat in that one. Chibet and Camayo, names to keep an eye on. Camayo looking for what would be her third gold medal here of the championship. Once again, welcome you. Glad to have your company as we wrap things up. The men's 5,000 meter to follow, then the lone event remaining for us, the 4x4 relay. It'll be time to crown some champions here at Dick Price Stadium.
You're absolutely right. And it's just been a great competition. And we've seen fantastic finishes. We've seen some things that we hadn't seen much of along the way in the championship, with equipment failures, to say the least, and false starts. But it all is working to be a great culmination. Even if first place may be decided, second and third clearly up for grabs. And that's what makes a championship final day interesting.
Talked about the weather, 86 degrees and breezy. Obviously, that much more advantageous for the sprinters than the distance runners. They would like it a bit cooler, but, well, one of those things that we obviously cannot control.
No, but I think all these athletes now in this outdoor season have run in probably some 80-degree weather, whether they liked it or not. And, you know, what really makes the difference, and you've been around the country, is the humidity. That can play a factor. Are you hydrated before you even come to the track, knowing this is race day for you and you have to compete maybe 2 or 3 times?
Right, you are. One of those X factors, the humidity. Thankfully, most of these teams located pretty close along the Atlantic coastline. You would imagine the weather, that must have an adjustment for any of the teams here in the MEAC.
No, I think what you have to adjust to is the times of your competitors. You know, do you have to speed up your pace? Do you have to run a race differently than you do maybe when you train?
So Denard leading the way, the Eagle from North Carolina Central. See the splits right there through the first 600. She has a 2:22.96. Chibet Camayo, coach, behind her, a trio of Norfolk State Spartans. Still early going. Nobody really willing to risk too much early on, as Merceline Camayo has now taken the lead. Mayo, the senior, her final year here, she's been a stalwart in MEAC track and field from day one when she set foot on campus. Senior from Kenya, going to wrap up her Spartans career on a high note. Already 2 gold medals here in the 10,000 and the 3,000 meter steeplechase.
She's Hall of Fame material for Norfolk State. If we can delineate an athlete, it's just one of the institutions. We know that we've seen men and women from the MEAC, not just, but since we're at Norfolk State and she's leading, we highlight that and just say those are the type of efforts consistently, Kit, over one's career as a student athlete that you can then say they're probably going to note that student athlete a little bit more than the rest.
Well, let's be honest, it makes a difference. You're running on your home track. This is the facility you train at. You know it better than anybody. And that is very much a huge advantage. That's what Premier Wynn said. I mean, he won the men's 400-meter dash. He said, look, this is our house. We want to defend it. He did it in his race. And obviously, Maya wants to do so in hers.
And again, when you have 2 programs in both of your divisions that are top-notch competitively, you certainly probably compete against your one team versus the other. You know, they are in the same surroundings, going to classes and training and working out in similar areas of the campus, if not the same, depending on your institution. And yeah, they all want to be the champs.
Right now, 3 of the top 4 spots belonging to the Spartans here on their home track. Chevette, Coach, all up there. Kamayo having dropped back a bit into the field, possibly conserving some energy. Right now, very tightly packed through the first 6.5 minutes of our 5,000. No separation from anyone in the field thus far. Jocelyn Crosby there, senior from Howard, with a 3 on her bib, trying to make a move on the outside. But seemingly all the competitors content just to stay bunched up, all giving themselves an opportunity. The question is, who will take it first? Who's going to make that gamble and say, I'm willing to pull away?
Yeah, but I would think it would be in another 6 or 7 minutes before they would want to try to maybe stretch it out.
There's still just about 10 minutes, a little over 10 minutes remaining from the best times of these competitors. Chevette, her seed time of 7:28.44, the best in the field.
I know you ran a 5K.
Run a few in my life. I was never nearly as impressive as these young women are, that's for sure.
Oh.
And you look at them, the way they run, just being able to maintain that speed. You talk about splits and negative splits. Such an impressive thing to do with this competition is the depth in the MEAC. And you see that, I mean, going through first 200 to 47.40 and then 223 for the 6. Their times just, they're right where you would imagine they would be. That being said, heat and humidity are playing a factor. They're in better shape as the season progresses. The weather certainly making things difficult.
Well, it is a factor. And you have to consider all factors when you're trying to win a race, when you're trying to get a team championship. And again, I'm not sure if you get to a point where you say, we're just so far ahead. However, the athletes that are running and competing in that particular event, they're not conceding anything.
That's the thing. And as you said, that Mira Martin has moved into the pole position as the Howard Bison. Martin, the freshman, another of that talented freshman class. That's the thing. Howard may well have already secured the women's title. Doing the math, that is indeed the case with just one event, the 4x4 remaining. But for these athletes, some of them, like Martin, competing in their first championship, it's about what you can do. You want to add your team points, but if you can come away with a title in your freshman season,
sure,
why not?
That's what pushes. And again, no one's going to say because of the order of the events, your event is less important or crucial than the ones that may have been completed prior to this.
Absolutely not. No event less crucial than another. All points count the same. Mayo on the outside making a move, it appears. There's the senior from Norfolk State with the number 2 passing Mira Martin. Pressure from Howard dropping back a bit. Now on the outside as well. Becca Penetich, the freshman from Eastern Shore, trying to make a move and ultimately could not sustain as Camayo has taken over the pole position, now leading the way, and they're going to have to run at her pace.
Well, and also, you're on the back half of the race now. And strategy, as you mentioned, the elements will all play a part. When you go ahead.
No, when you say that, you see the runners going by and not necessarily drinking the water, using it to cool themselves down, just speaking to the elements that we talked about.
Yeah, that's right. And all those will allow you, if your car gets warmer than normal, it doesn't function the same way. That's why there's coolant that's put into the engine. And that's why sometimes they say, turn the engine off, let it cool down. There's optimal conditions to perform. And if you can find that along the way by cooling your body off with the water that, folks around the track do and things of that nature, you're certainly going to use it to your advantage. It does make a difference. If nothing else, psychologically.
Mayo, Chibet 1 and 2. Crosby dropping back into third. Left center of North Carolina Central there as well. Still a pair of Spartans leading the way. And the great news for them is when you have support, you have that teammate there, they're forming a wall, and you can see not letting anyone come. If they're going to come, they're going to have to come all the way around the outside, as Mira Martin's trying to do. That expends a lot of energy.
Yeah, it's a farther distance to run. And like you said, you have to expend the energy that's not kind of in a drafting mode, running with your teammate, just kind of keeping the same gait and pace. Because again, these teammates practice together. They know what they can run. They know who can do what at this point in the season. And they also know, to a certain extent and degree, their competition and what they can do as well.
Still Camayo Chibet 1 and 2. Crosby in third. Hockey Beach and Shore. Penetich there in 4.
So I'm gauging this race by the best time I ever did in a 5K, and theirs is clearly minutes faster. and I'm going, well, this race is almost going to wrap up here in a couple laps or so, because I know where my time was, and I know it's going to be under theirs. I mean, theirs is going to be under mine. I'm getting sweltered, and my thought process isn't correct. They're running in the 17s. I did a 19:10.
Not too bad, my friend.
On the East Coast.
There you go.
And I tell you what, hats off to all these finalists. This is not easy. You can watch it, you can talk about it, but to actually run at the pace that they set and that they run, you're not going to be able to do. Most are not going to be able to do what these student athletes do. And to win already twice and then be leading here in the last minutes of this 5,000 meters here on the last day of the championship.
A 3,000 meter split of 11:51 for the leaders. Still Camayo, as Crosby looking to make a move on the outside. Chibet there as well, but Crosby just biding her time right on that shoulder of Camayo.
And Crosby did well on the indoor season. So not afraid to go after the Norfolk State Spartans.
No, not at all, and nor should she be. You have to compete, and she's certainly doing that. We get to the final 3 minutes of our race. Bet with the best seed time, the sophomore from Norfolk State, 17 and 28.44. She's sitting in second, doing a good job providing protection and cover for Mercelin Camayo. Thus far, Crosby, despite her best efforts, has not been able to overtake Camayo.
I would dare say that the Spartan women would want to see that in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But Crosby's a gamer, a champion, and has her own strategies and thoughts about this 5,000.
As you say that, Crosby overtaking Camayo, or trying to, just hanging on that outside shoulder. Has not been able to come all the way around. Camayo doing a good job making herself wide, pressing out a bit further. Crosby very much in the mix. (15:36) and counting. The 3,400 meter split at 13:25 for Camayo, Crosby, and Chibet, all the very same, separated by tenths of a second, no more. Crosby now having taken the lead. Crosby maybe looking to make a move.
Yes, here's where the strategy comes in, because you're clear of the Norfolk State Spartan women and teammates, but do they box you in now? And are they going to make you have to go? And you see Crosby kind of sliding to the outside, hanging on the inside, but looking for a way out if she gets boxed in.
That's exactly what's happening. Crosby boxed in as Camayo and Chibet have overtaken her. Coming in to one more lap. 2 more laps remaining. We will have one until the bell lap, excuse me. But you see Camayo turning things up with 2 laps remaining. 800 meters left. And the Kenyan finding that extra bit. Chibet keeping up with her, and she's hoping that Crosby will not be able to join them.
Now this is truly your training and being able to hold your form. You don't want to waste any energy here, because if you have to kick, you want to be able to just find a line, and we've seen it in other races, hold that form.
That top 4 separating from the rest of the field. Camayo, Chibet, Crosby, Penetich. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now Crosby weathered the storm as we come. The bell lap. Just about 450 meters remaining in this one. Crosby having retaken the lead. Can she hold on with Chibet and Camayo nipping at her heels? 400 to go. There is the bell. 1 lap remaining.
And you know that there's some tiger in the tank, and there goes Camayo.
Mercelin Camayo on the outside. We saw her turn it on with 800 meters remaining. She will here under 400. And here comes her teammate Chibet, her fellow Kenyan. Those two start to pull away, daring Crosby to keep up with them. Crosby doing an admirable job of it as Crosby looks to reel him back in. By Chibet, Crosby on the outside. Crosby making a move. Camayo unable to hold on. Crosby, senior from Bossier City, Louisiana, having taken the lead into the final turn. Camayo, here she comes. Crosby trying to hold on. Fans on their feet at Dick Price Stadium. The final 50 meters of the women's 5,000, and it's going to be Jocelyn Crosby, the senior, who turns it on and will take the women's 5,000. What a race. The final 2 laps had it all.
Yeah, it did. And that's strategy, that's training, and that's ultimate completion of performance and execution.
Was indeed. So again, Jocelyn Crosby, the senior from Bossier City, Louisiana, the victory. 10 more points for the Bison women in the team standings. 19:04.04 for Crosby, her time. Mayo finishing second, and Chibet in third.
Great strategic race on it. Not your home track, and you had the Spartan women boxing you in, keeping you up, but you could just see determination. And as Jocelyn Crosby goes past Mercelin Camayo, Camayo realizes, I really got to kick it in here if I could try to reel in Crosby. And Crosby certainly done that last 110 meters kit all the way to the house.
Did indeed. Jocelyn Crosby, your women's 5,000 meter champion. When we return, it'll be the men's 5,000 meter coverage for the 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships continues. Your women's 5,000 meter champion from Howard, Jocelyn Crosby, the final 2,000 meters, 200 meters. It was all her. She was battling with Mercelin Camayo, Abigail Chibet, ultimately finishing third. But it was a very well executed plan by the senior from Louisiana, knew what she wanted to do. And ultimately, that would be the difference.
Yeah, and her turnover is what got her going.
Moving quickly, our men's 5,000 meter. And here are the number assignments. Gideon Segui of Norfolk State wearing the 1. His teammate Brian Rotage 2. Lewis 2 from Norfolk State 3. Evans Kamutai in 4 from North Carolina Central. Delaware State's Jonathan Drew in 5. Ryan Chong of North Carolina Central in 6. Mednura from Coppin State 7. Victor Juba of Norfolk State 8. Ugo Wararu of Delaware State 9. Marianne Drazen of Delaware State 10, and William Shepard of Howard rounds out the field wearing the number 11. Drazen won the 3,000 meter steeplechase, a time of 9:16:61 yesterday. Gideon Segui won the 10,000 meters back on Thursday, ran that a time of 30:36:11. Certainly two to keep an eye on in this race. And it is indeed Segui, the best seed time, 14:24.83 for the senior from Norfolk State.
And Drazen second, Jumo in third. And the 1,500 run earlier, won by Caleb Mincy of Morgan State. You know I got to get that in there, right?
Absolutely. The freshman, impressive showing for your father's alma mater.
Dad, wherever you are, I hope you're watching. Probably doesn't need ESPN Plus where he's at.
That would be my guess. Probably has better reception than most of us.
In a clearer picture.
I think so. Drazen leading the way. Right behind him, Rotage with the 2, and Lewis 2 as well. The freshman from Norfolk State, one of the newer additions to this stable of very impressive distance runners right here under the guidance of Kenneth Giles.
Coach Giles will be fun to speak with as well at the end of the broadcast. Thank him for being host.
The host, yeah, they've done a fantastic job at Norfolk State University. Not only are his Spartan men the 3-time defending outdoor track and field champions, he is the 3-time defending men's outstanding coach here in the championship. And much the same on the women's side with David Oliver, his Bison of Howard, 3-time defending women's team champion. He is a 3-time defending outstanding coach as well.
And they put together great teams on the flip side of the coin. Delaware State, excuse me. Norfolk State with the women, and the Howard Bison men also highly competitive.
They've done it in different ways. Obviously, Howard more geared toward the sprints, the dashes for their women's side, and more toward the distance races on the men's side for Norfolk State, but the results are the same.
Well, and you can say that because I think overall that could be right, but Kendrick Winfield and others would tell you, Mr. Wynn would say that
It may take some
exception that the sprints for Norfolk, and then if you look at some of the distance that events that Howard also competes in, it's a solid team, top to bottom. And dare we, Kip McConicle, dare we forget the field athletes?
That's a great point. Plus, you took the words right out of my mouth. And those are some massive contributions that we have not given enough credit to. Those athletes, those competitions taking place outside of the stadium.
Correct.
So not seeing their contributions, but obviously those are indeed key contributions.
So we must mention a 20-year record falling in the decathlon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, impressive stuff. Compensates Andrew Betton the gold medal. He had 6,667 points. That breaks a 20-year record in the event. Morgan State's Alan Mitchell set it back in 2025.
2005.
You are indeed. And in 2025, it is broken by Coppin State Andrew Betton. Congratulations to that man. And his record-setting 6,697 point total in the decathlon. And the women's heptathlon,
it came up smelling like Jasmine.
Jasmine Hunter of the Bison, gold with 4,332 points taking place yesterday. And it was her teammate, Jasmine Walker, finishing second. So, to your point, Foss, that's another 1-2 finish for the Bison women in the heptathlon. More points there in those events.
Points is points because they all count the same. And we may not have that on the broadcast, but we certainly want to mention those champion athletes. And then, in day one, men's discus, that happened. They handed out, 5 or 6 in day one?
We had 6 gold medals on Thursday, day one of the competition. 10 yesterday in day 2. Wrapping things up here today. But no, you're exactly right, man. We had the discus. That was the first gold medal handed out to Lionel Lawrence of Maryland Eastern Shore, winning that one in the men's discus event. Galen Johnson winning the women's discus event for Morgan State, their first gold medal of the championship. Those are great points, Boss, and we do not give those athletes nearly enough
Hammer throw, javelin, shot put. They are all part of this championship, and we acknowledge all those competitors and those who made the podium.
To your point, North Carolina Central's Tia Lucas, the gold medal in the women's high jump back on Thursday. Delaware State's Jamari Manson and NC Central's Jonathan Rajon Kroger. They were jump for jump in the men's, both clearing 2 meters. In fact, both clearing at 2:09. Manson's successful as he took it for the Hornets, 2:12 for their first gold medal. Again, that is 2 meters, 0.12.
Plus 7, 16. Higher than I've ever jumped in the high jumps.
Well over 6.5 feet, inching closer to 7 on that one. And yesterday, as we said, 10 gold medals handed out. Gia Jackson again winning as she won the women's long jump, so they would have find that one there. Howard did well in throws in the jumps. Kendra Azima, first place in the women's shot put. Fisher added another gold for the Bison in the men's long jump. So a lot of medals in the field events. And you saw that when every day, look at the updated standings, you see that movement, maybe not coming from the track, it's coming from those field events. Bison, as we said, Spartans getting it done, adding those precious points.
They all count. They all count towards a team championship. I guess it's a little bit easier to see a 3-minute or a 10-second running event. However, seeing a hammer go flying and, seeing people hitting their marks and the long and triple jumps and spinning around and letting discus and shot put go are all events I never did a discus or a javelin, but I did the shot put, and very much so, and pole vault. I don't think I would try that one. That one is a little bit too much for me.
Turning our sights back to the men's 5,000 here is Lewis 2, the talented freshman from Norfolk State, leading the way. His teammates Gideon Segui and Victor Jumo in second and third. Drazan, Delaware State, currently in fourth, and Hamed Noura there in fifth. Evans Kumtai, North Carolina Central. So a trio of Spartans. This is something their fans have grown accustomed to seeing. Tu, Segui, and Jumo all in the front of the pack. And even with new faces, new additions, they just continue to reload. That's a credit to Coach Giles and his recruiting, able to bring in these very talented athletes. We mentioned Lewis 2, the newest one, the freshman out of Kenya, or that pipeline from Eastern Africa.
Yes, we have heard Segui and Jumo's name here, the indoor and outdoor track season in the MEAC. But like you said, here comes Lewis 2. He'll have more seasons to compete. Right now, literally 1, 2, and 3 in front. Just like the women, this is their home. They run on this track, preparing all season.
Again, 2, Segui, Jumo, 1, 2, and 3. Spartans leading the way. Drazan and Evans Kumtai rounding out the lead pack. They have separated themselves from the rest of the field. And we saw it in the women's race. Jocelyn Crosby coming from behind with about 200 meters remaining, made her move and ultimately won the women's 5,000. It was a pair of Spartans finishing second and third. And make no mistake about it, it is a definite advantage to be racing on your home track.
Oh, absolutely. You have the comfort of knowing how everything's set up. You understand pretty much if any wind or how you feel. Because sometimes when you run on a track, it feels warmer in certain spots, cooler in others. You just kind of know how to deal with the variances as you go around each lap.
The other part of it is you're at home. You're sleeping in your own bed.
Correct.
You know where things are, you're eating the same meals, that routine, which is so critical for athletes, just trying to keep the same schedule, making things that much easier. That being said, the collegiate semester is wrapped up, so maybe not as many people on campus.
I bet Coach keeps his athletes close.
I have a feeling Coach Giles is keeping a close eye on his athletes here at Norfolk State. I think you're exactly right about that one, Foss.
You just don't take any chances because it's training. It's about having the ability to execute on race day, and you don't want to leave that to chance because one, outcomes, defending, getting people on the podium, and you would like to maintain your job status.
Certainly has been able to do that. He's three-time defending men's outdoor track and field outstanding coach of the year in the MEAC. Now a bit of separation as Kumtai has dropped back. Marian Drazan trying to keep pace with that lead trio for Norfolk State. Yi, 2, Jumo. 1, 2, and 3. We've seen some podium sweeps from the Bison of Howard. Their women have done it. Now the Norfolk State Spartan men are looking to do so here in the men's 5,000. Segui, 2, Jumo, 1, 2, and 3. Drazan doing everything he can to keep pace. Drazan, just a sophomore, came out last season in his freshman campaign and really opened a lot of eyes in the MEAC.
Yes.
Very impressive young athlete. Lewis, too, looking to do the very same in his first season with the Spartans. Now that separation from the rest of the field, Drazan has not been able to keep pace. Segui, 2, and Jumo starting to lap some of the competitors. The race may well be between that top 3 to see who finishes first, second, and third.
It is very much looking that way, Kit. And again, I think, possibly this trio saw that last 5,000 and said, we will not leave it to chance. We will not allow maybe a competitor to sneak in, as they seem to be pulling away, as you mentioned, from Marion Drazen.
A little less.
State.
2 laps to go here in the men's 5,000. Sagi, 2, Jumo, right there. 1, 2, and 3. Continue to just pour it on, lapping competitors in the field. It does appear that, barring some unforeseen occurrence, that will be a podium sweep for the Spartans. The question is, who's going to be atop the podium, and
how do you figure that one out?
That's it.
We're going to run all together for until the last lap. Then let's just open it up and see what we have in the tank. I don't know.
Pair of seniors and a freshman, Sagi and Jumo, their last conference championship, 2 in his first. But it's the freshman making a move on the outside. Lewis, too, wants to take that top podium spot from his teammates, and he may well do it. The Kenyan, his first year with the Spartans, is going to take it. We will see. Can he hold on for one more lap?
Oh, I think there's more racing to be done.
There may well be. We'll see. Sagi and Jumo don't feel like they want to pass the baton to the freshman just yet.
As I said.
After Jumo making a move, and he says, hey, youngster,
you want to come with me? I'm telling you. They're not going to let the freshman just walk it in. They're going to say, you're going to have to earn this, son.
There was a look there from 2 as Sagi passes him, says, we still have a few tricks in our bag, young man.
Know it.
Welcome to college.
Exactly. I did not think that Gideon Sagi was going to let an opportunity go by. He is letting it the hammer is down.
Oh, he is indeed turning it on, and what a final kick here. Sagi looking like it's a 200-meter out of 5,000. And the senior is going to take it, his final conference championship on his home track. He wins the men's 5,000. His classmate, Victor Jumo, finishing second. The freshman, Lewis, 2, finishing third. The seniors telling the freshmen, impressive stuff, young man, but next year, we'll pass the baton. Not right now.
You knew that was coming, right? I mean, you knew that was coming. Yeah. Gideon Sagi had a nice little gate, but then he said, oh, it is time to kick it into high gear. And you're absolutely right. That's not a 5,000-meter stride right there. That is a gold medal. I'm leaving it not to chance stride.
One event remaining. It's the 4x4 relay when we return to Norfolk State for the 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Welcome back. Take a look at our updated standings here at the 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. On the men's side, Norfolk State having secured their 4th consecutive men's team title. 217 points with 1 event remaining. Coppin State and Howard. That's going to be the battle, Foss. Battle for second place between the Eagles and the Bison. Who finishes second? Who finishes third? This final event, the 4x4, will determine that. And over on the women's side, impressive stuff from Howard as they secure their 4th women's team title yet again. Norfolk State will finish second. But the battle, that's going to be for third. Morgan State, Delaware State still battling to see who gets into the top 3.
That's the exciting part. You know, you think maybe, well, first place has been defended both on the men's and women's division. But second, third, fourth, those are very much up for grabs. One, not settled in either the men's or the women's divisions.
Very important as well. I mean, not just for bragging rights, but you talk about momentum bringing into next season, recruiting, how important all those things are. Getting that top 3 finish in the team standings, it is of paramount importance as we turn our sights to our final women's event, the 4x4, 4x400-meter relay. The lane assignments, Maryland Eastern Shore will be in 1, Delaware State in 2, North Carolina Central in 3, South Carolina State in 4, Howard 5, Norfolk State in 6, Coppin State in 7, Morgan State rounds out the field in lane 8. Howard with the best seed time, 3 minutes 38.8 for the Bison in 5. As we said, for those team standings, this is critical. Where you finish could well determine if you finish in the top 3. Those teams certainly know, you would imagine, that is the case. Again, we take the opportunity to thank our hosts here at Norfolk State University and thank everyone at the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, 54th year of intercollegiate athletic competition. And it's always an honor to be a part of these conference championships. This, the final conference championship of the season, Foss. We had softball about a week ago, track and field wrapping things up, and then it'll be on to the summer break before turning our sights to the 25-26 academic school year.
Yeah, and listen, kudos to all these athletes. They've done their studies and they've they've competed well. The competition is true here on the track, and let's get ready for a great couple of mile relay races, as they say.
Right, you are, Foss. And to your point, congratulations. They were all the 149 student athletes making the outdoor track and field honor roll. Underway, women's 4x4. As we said, those students 3.0 or better cumulative grade point average. Sophomore, junior, and seniors 149. Very impressive getting their business taken care of into the classroom as well as athletically. Now, fans on their feet is always the case here in the straightaway. What a great way to wrap up another championship. Coming to our first exchange.
It's close.
And Howard there alongside South Carolina State and Norfolk State. Howard is going to make the first exchange, it appears, and the Bison will, but Norfolk State right there as well. Morgan State in lane 8. Keep an eye on them as well. Now the second leg for Howard, looking to make a bit of a cushion from the rest of the field, but Morgan State coming into the picture. South Carolina State looking to do the same. Howard finding breathing room here in the second leg of the women's 4x4.
And they can just load up on their champions, just hand the baton off to each other. And this is a lot easier exchange here than that sprint relay that started this broadcast, Kit, because you could just turn around, hand it off, and go.
Bison making the exchange here for the third leg. Who makes the second? Who comes with that exchange? Is Howard really extending the lead? Norfolk State with the second exchange, and the third by South Carolina State. Both those teams vying for that second place finish right now, but Howard well ahead, ran a 1:47.88 for the 800-meter split through the first two legs. Now in the third for Howard. Norfolk State, bit of space there. South Carolina State currently in third. Here comes NC Central into the picture in fourth. Final exchange. Anchor leg in the 4x4.
Smooth sailing by the Howard Bison women. Like clockwork hit.
Norfolk State, South Carolina State exchanging almost simultaneously. They battle for second place. Howard. No doubt about it, the Bison will finish with the exclamation point to secure their fourth consecutive MEAC Women's Outdoor Track and Field title. No doubt about it, but the battle for second between Norfolk State and South Carolina State. Spartans on their home track, looking to best the Bulldogs. Howard coming across, final few meters, and the Bison will take the 4x4 crown. 3:36.20, Norfolk State finishing second, 3:42.75, South Carolina State third, 3:45.31. And now we can say without a shadow of a doubt, all women events having been scored, Howard will take their fourth consecutive title. What a job Coach David Oliver has done there in the district. Now, Foss, the question is, who finishes second and third in the women's team standings?
Well, it could be Norfolk State. We recall that the points differential were very close, but here we see the Howard women take it home. This 4x400 meter relay.
Howard will win. Norfolk State will finish second. Morgan State, will they have enough to hold on to third place?
Howard University.
Take a look at the updated standings. All 21 events having been scored for the women, and for the 4th consecutive year, the Howard University Bison are your MEAC outdoor track and field champions. Norfolk State finishing 2nd. Morgan State 3rd, 1 point over North Carolina Central as the Bears finish 3rd on the women's side.
They're on the podium, and it could have been by half a point, but it was going to be close. We knew that the 4x4 meant something on the women's side. Kick it again, most likely will mean the same for the men.
It will indeed. A battle on the men's side here. Norfolk State will take the men's title. But we will see. There is certainly a lot to play for here, so to speak. On the men's side, Coppin State and Howard separated by just 2 points. Currently the Eagles in 2nd, Howard in 3rd in the men's team standings. Final event of the championship. The men's 4x4. Again, glad to have you with us. Big thanks to our host, Norfolk State University, and a big thanks to everyone at the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. A fantastic event having been put on here. And we'll take a look at our lane assignments for the men's 4x4. North Carolina Central in 1. South Carolina State will be in 3. Coppin State in 4. Norfolk State in 5. Howard in 6. Maryland Eastern Shore in 7. Morgan State in 8. Delaware State will not be competing in the 4x4. The seed time of the bunch. Norfolk State in 5, 3:05.07. Howard right behind them at 3:05.49. That bodes well for the Bison. They need to finish 1st or 2nd, you would imagine, to fend off Coppin State. Those two vying for the 2nd place. Coppin State currently ahead, but just a 2-point lead in 2nd place over the Bison. First leg, men's 4x4. Main start here. Again, Howard in 6, Norfolk State 5. Coppin State in 4. Those are the 3 to keep an eye on if you're neutral. Morgan State, they're on the outside in 8. Here comes Coppin State in 4, looking for the first exchange. The Eagles may be the first team to hand off the baton. And neck and neck, Howard and Coppin State both getting an exchange right there. Norfolk State in the midst as well. Coppin State alongside Norfolk State right now, leading men's 4x4. The Howard coming in 3rd. Langford making a move on the outside is the graduate student. Here comes Noah Langford. Langford looking to pick up some serious ground for Howard. Exchange made almost simultaneously. Howard, what a leg run by Noah Langford, is Howard ahead of Coppin State narrowly. Norfolk State dropping back into 3rd.
That was a great leg by Noah Langford. Talks about the team. What a great race this is going to be. This is just the 3rd leg.
It is indeed. Langford did his job. Everything you could ask for the star graduate student from Virginia Beach. Now Howard. Coppin State leading. Howard nipping at their heels. Norfolk State currently sitting back in 3rd are the Spartans on their home track.
This is going to be a good finish.
Here we go. Keep an eye on things here. It's 4x4. Howard there in the white singlet. Coppin State leading. Eagles with that narrow advantage. Norfolk State trying to reel them in.
This is where you got to go. It's about 140 meters left.
That's exactly what Howard's going to do, making a move on the outside, trying to, I should say. And here comes Norfolk State from behind. Final straightaway, men's 4x4. Howard, Norfolk State on the outside, on their home track. Howard looking to hold them off. Norfolk State on the outside. It's going to be a race to the finish line. And Norfolk State may have had the lead. We will have to wait for confirmation. Howard and Norfolk State right there, and it is Norfolk State. 3:09.34. Howard, 3:09.36.
Wow. They take nothing for granted.
Coppin State finishing third, 3:10.08. We will have to tabulate the final men's team scores, but what a finish for Norfolk State, securing their fourth consecutive MEAC Men's Outdoor Track and Field Championship.
Yeah, and that's a long way. 6-7 meters with about 150 to go. Then you talk about picking them up and putting them down. Just holding the form and the turnover that much greater for the Norfolk State Spartans. They come down the back stretch. Howard holds on for second, and they may actually finish in second overall.
That may be enough, but what an anchor leg run by the Spartans on their home track. They will take the 2025 MEAC Men's Outdoor Track and Field Championship. 3:09.34, the mark there for Norfolk State. Howard, 3:09.36. It literally came down to the wire.
Yeah, that's what you get in a mile relay. And it's just so impressive to see athletes make up that much distance in a full-out sprint kit. I don't think people understand what you have to do to have the turnover to make up 7 meters. It's a long way in the last 150 meters of any race.
Norfolk State University.
So Norfolk State with the victory, 227 points for the men, and Coppin State and Howard finishing even on 111.5 points. They will share second. NC Central third. All men's events having been scored, as we are now joined by the head coach of Norfolk State Track and Field, Kenneth Giles. Coach, congratulations, your fourth consecutive men's outdoor track and field championship. But talk to us about that final event, the 4x4, that anchor leg. You already had the team title secured, but what a finish from your men.
Hey, well, I'll tell you one thing. You know, he was a 400-meter champ, and, you know, Vincent Bond went down. So, you know, we kind of like use the football mentality, next man up. And, you know, he won the 400, you know, in the open race. So we put him at anchor, and we knew whatever deficit it was that he would bring it home for us on our home turf.
Coach, I just said that, you know, we've been talking to you for a while now. You just wanted to be generous when it came to adding a fourth team to have some hardware. That's how Norfolk State does it at their place. We give out 2, as long as we're in first, we can give out 2 for second and 1 for third.
Hey, well, I tell you one thing. We prepared for this back in August, and you know, today just reaped the benefits of all the hard work that the coaches, the student athletes, the administration, and everybody put towards this program. They did a great job.
They did, and my math, even though I only took a few semesters of calculus, 111 still doesn't add up to 227, Coach. An outstanding men's performance here in 2025 outdoors.
Hey, I really appreciate it. And, you know, we're using this meet to get prepared for Jacksonville, and I think we're ready.
I would certainly say you are, Coach. Congratulations, 4 in a row for MEAC men's outdoor for your Norfolk State University Spartans. We'll let you go celebrate with your team.
All right, behold, a green and gold.
You heard him. Man who needs no introduction, the one and only Kenneth Giles. His team does it 4 in a row on the men's side, 227 their point total. Coppin State Howard finishing even on 111.5. They will share second. NC Central third over on the men's side.
Giving us some lyrics from the school song, the alma mater. Great show by the Norfolk State men.
Is indeed. So over on the women's side, your third place finisher, Morgan State, finishing with 74 points. They're getting their trophy, very well deserved. We had a battle on the women's side as well. Foss, it was a great thing we talked about. Maybe the winner decided a little earlier than the final few events, and that was not a surprise considering
not until the third day.
Yeah, but considering what these two teams have done. But then you see Morgan State and Norfolk State, or excuse me, Morgan State and NC Central battling, just 1 point separating those two. Ultimately, Morgan State finishing in third. 74 points, just a single point above NC Central. But Howard, an impressive 292 points. They make it 4 in a row. MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships on the women's side do the Bison, as we are now joined by their coach, David Oliver. Coach, your women got it done today. No surprise. One thing that stood out when we spoke with all of your athletes today, they spoke about the team, how important it was to contribute those points, the unity, the cohesiveness. Talk to us, if you will, about what that means to Howard Bison Track and Field.
Oh, absolutely. The team is the most important thing. You know, you can't win a conference championship by yourself. You know, no matter how good you are individually, you got to come together as a collective in order to make it happen. And I'm just happy the young ladies were able to do it. You know, scored the most points in outdoor championship history, and just happy for them to bring home a 4th title in a row.
Coach, you know, we love how you bring your fine fashions. Today a little bit more casual, but we love that H. You're looking like supermen and superwomen from Howard. We say congratulations. Maybe you eclipsed the 300-point mark, but listen, you bring both the men and the women for serious competition. As Kit said, you have now done 4 in a row on the women's side. What is it that you instill through basic fundamentals for both the men and the women that compete under you?
It's just basic. The team motto: be the standard. It's pretty self-explanatory. You know what you got to do, and that starts every day from when we start training in the fall. And we're bringing it all the way through to the national level. For us, getting to the national level is the most important thing. That's what we want to highlight every single year. We don't want our season ending in May. We want to carry this all the way through June and beyond. So they've done a great job of that, and I can't give them enough credit for the job that they've done over this past season. And I'm very proud of the men and the women.
Coach, 4 in a row. Your women doing it in emphatic fashion. A record-setting 292 points. Congratulations. We'll let you go celebrate.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
What a performance from the Howard University women. You heard it. That is a record point total in MEAC Outdoor Women's Track and Field. 292 points. Their projected total was 289. We thought that was a little high, maybe kind of the upper reaches of where they're going to get. They eclipsed that. Impressive indeed. That puts it mildly for Howard.
Yeah, and you see on both sides of these divisions consistency. And you see consistency at the top. And, you know, hats off as well to Coppin State, their men's team, truly with an excellent performance as well. They're in the top three, the top two. And I think with Morgan State, you're always going to press these teams and the coaches that we talk to at the end of these championships. They're certainly on the heels of the performances of the champions, but it's, as you know, Kit, tough to knock a champion off.
Awards being presented. We will hand things over to our public address announcer here at Dick Price Stadium. Hardware coming out to very well-deserving athletes and teams here at the 2025 MEAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships.
2025 MEAC Women's Outdoor Track and Field Outstanding Coach. The head coach of the Lady Bison, David Oliver from Howard University. A round of applause for the Coach Oliver, the most outstanding coach for the women. And now the 2025 MEAC Women's Outdoor Track and Field Champion with a new meet record in total team points of 292. The Lady Bison from Howard University, coached by David Oliver.
Hey, Carl, did you want me to log out of Look Unity?
Come on. No. Hey.
One more round of applause for our co-runner-up teams, the Howard University Bison, coached by David Oliver, and the Eagles of Coppin State, coached by Carl Bates. And now the 2025 men's outdoor track and field co-outstanding field athletes. A senior from North Carolina Central with 18 total points, Matthew Swepson, and a junior from South Carolina State, Michael Hopkins. Let's give another round of applause for Cole. Outstanding field event winner. And now, the 2025 men's outdoor track and field outstanding runner. A freshman from Norfolk State University with 26 total points, Lewis 2. Let's give another round of applause for outstanding runner, Lewis 2. And now the 2025 MEAC men's outdoor track and field outstanding coach. He's the coach of the Norfolk State University Spartans, Kenneth Jobs. One more time for our most outstanding coach, Kenneth Jobs. And now the 2025 MEAC men's outdoor track and field champions with 227 points, the Spartans from Norfolk State University, coached by head coach Kenneth Jobs.
And once you get it down, you can do this. I'll take care of all the other stuff. Okay. Do you want me to put the cameras up, or you want me to just strip it, and start taking the pieces off? That's that. Yeah, that's basically it. Those two, and then strip all the cables, and then all load this box up. Okay, cool. And I'll bring his stuff over to the screen.
The fourth consecutive season, Norfolk State University Spartans are your MEAC men's outdoor track and field champions. Congratulations, Coach Kenneth Giles. His side finishing with 227 points. Coppin State and Howard tying on second, 111.5.
Listen, we talked to Coach Giles and Coach Oliver, but there's 6 other teams with outstanding staffs and head coaches. We don't get to talk to them sometimes, unfortunately, because they're not at the top of the podium. However, they bring a lot to say of other champions during this weekend kit. And I just want to acknowledge them as well, because they have competitors that are putting up great numbers in other events as well.